What about war crimes? Is Israel committing war crimes? Are war crimes always committed in wars? What is a war crime?
A war crime is a serious violation of international humanitarian law. So that's the laws of armed conflict. In a nutshell, there are four really key principles in the context of the law of armed conflict. Necessity, you must only take military action that is necessary to advance your military aims. Distinction requires you to distinguish between civilians and combatants, so you only target combatants and military infrastructure, and you distinguish your own forces by wearing uniform from your civilians. Of course, Hamas don't do any of this, but Israel not only complies with them, goes far, far in excess of what international humanitarian law actually requires. So you've got distinction, necessity, proportionality, perhaps the most misrepresented concept in international law in history. I mentioned proportionality was not about weighing up casualty figures. The rule of proportionality in the law of armed conflict requires that every strike be weighed up so that the military commander can be satisfied that the anticipated civilian collateral damage is not excessive to the direct, concrete military aims of a strike. That's the formula. There's no magic calculation that tells you this strike is proportionate, this strike isn't. It is a balance that has to be struck, but that's the formula. And you'll notice, of course, that within that formula, the existence of civilian and collateral damage is a given. The question is, what would be excessive? That's proportionality. And the last principle is precaution. And that requires that a law-abiding army take precautions to prevent civilian casualties. For example, what Israel's doing in an unprecedented form in terms of giving warnings of strikes and facilitating the evacuation of civilians through humanitarian corridors, which actually IDF have been defending from Hamas that has been firing onto the civilians in these corridors.